The theme of my work tonight, I have to be honest, I didn't know exactly what to say about my work, so I just said love and death. I heard one time when I was a freshman in college, there was a professor that said all poetry is really about either love or death. So I thought, what the hell? I probably can't get too far off if I have that as my overriding title. Now, having given this a little bit more thought, I would have included the word wind in this. I think my new title would be something like Wind, Disease, Death, and Love.
Oh. How about
More
rage?
specific.
Yeah.
Is there any rage in there?
There's no rage. I mean, I am a sort of self-absorbed, narcissistic poet at times, and so rage is not really a problem.
Well, Merriam's dictionary, love and rage.
But in all seriousness, I'm just going to read you some poems, and these are new poems I wrote about a year ago, and my goal was to try to write one poem a day in April. And so the first part of this is pretty much the result of that project. This first poem is called What Gets Hit the Hardest is Worn Closest to the Skin. I don't write poems about poems or writing poems, and yet this is one of them. So already I contradict myself. Technically, this is a poem about not writing poems, specifically what keeps me from putting pen to paper. This morning, it's a load of clothes I need for work. Inside the washer, they are pinched and wrinkled. I peel them apart, shake out each dress shirt and pair of slacks. I sling them separately across each shoulder. Slacks on the left and shirts on the right. My grandmother taught me how to hang clothes as a child. Each shirt is hung from the tail and linked to another shirt. The labels face north so they catch the wind right. They fill with air and seem to come alive. The slacks are hung from the waist inside out. They stay on the line the longest and take the greatest beating from the sun. My grandmother said, what gets hit the hardest is worn closest to the skin. Having remembered that, maybe I've been writing a poem this morning after all. The mother of all wind. I hear wind in the tree outside and welcome another light breeze into my bedroom. But then the wind chimes become frantic. My wooden blinds slam against the window as if they were in sympathy with the tree. Yet how could they still share an identity? That would be more like me and the wind. I used to say I was born in that country. And just look at how my origins follow me around, seep through screams, touch my skin roughly, and then send me off to sleep. Waiting for something good. I stand on a corner and wait for something good. Spring has come and gone. Summer is on its way out. I long for something much better than this. After puddles of rain gather, I see buildings reflected in water. I'm not standing on a corner after all. City trees grow up and down the avenue. They've been trying to set me right the whole time. I'm in the middle of a straight line and losing my leaves just like trees. When my body breaks apart and falls into the sidewalk, don't stop the wind. Let it bring me to the real corner I only imagined before. Everyone's favorite. 3 horses tune the pasture as if it were an instrument. The first horse pulls a clump of cold grass from the ground and the winds die down. the smallest bird begins to sing. The second horse keeps time with his tail, warming the air but not the weather, which is both blue and gray. The third horse, everyone's favorite, is asleep on three legs by the fence. He dreams of a fourth horse who hasn't arrived but is on the way. And like all things real, his absence makes the warped planks of the fence line look and sound so much better. Okay, transitioning out of wind and into disease.
Right.
Folks, I don't like to say a whole lot. With poetry, I like to just have some silences. So I'm trying to read slow and, give your mind some time to enter into that realm of poetry. I will say about this poem, this one was given to me, and that I went to a doctor's appointment, and this is literally what I witnessed in the waiting room. And it's called In the Waiting Room. I am early morning, and like your pants, I don't fit so well. I am the receptionist who doesn't remember you from 30 years ago. I am the paperwork you refuse to complete. I am your adult children standing by on your cell phone. I am the husband who tinkles like a wind chime in the bathroom while you wait. I am the 4 days you lost to a seizure. I am the cat you left at home, and your purse, and your insurance card. I am the fast that makes you lightheaded. I am the name of the doctor and the medication you can't pronounce. I am the hush you give your husband when he tries to help. I am the smell of commercial carpet that's hard to walk across. I am the magazine full of celebrities you don't recognize. I am the mirror you glance into before stepping on the scale. Remind me, who are you? Just a few years ago, my brother died of cancer. He was only 52 years old. And very shortly afterward, my wife's father died, and then mother died in the same year. And so this poem is called Aphorisms from the Hospice Vigil. And one of my methods of dealing with the hospice vigil, if you guys have ever experienced that, was I just tried to write one aphorism every day. And for some reason, being a poet, that just sort of helped bind me together and helped me show up for all of the things that are entailed in that. Aphorisms from the Hospice Vigil. Clouds close the sky for just a few drops of rain, and the sick sip water through straws. Sudden death and tragedy can't stop talking, but slow death and disease have already said everything twice. All phone calls to the dying are long distance, and every healthy person speaks with an accent. We can wash the germs from our hands, but who will rinse the chatter from our mouth? A confident pause can soothe the sick. An anxious silence can startle the dead. Pigeons coo from the trees while roosting. The sick speak out from their beds while dying. A priest performs the last rites, but a visiting dog invokes the last smile. The living empty trash cans while the dying move mountains. Okay, let's get to the love part, folks. This is a poem I wrote for my wife, and it's called Saturday. Today's Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
Well, I could have written this poem today, but I wrote it last year. Saturday. 10 years ago, when I first met my wife, she had just been featured in a PBS documentary. The subject was equine therapy. She sent me a clip through Facebook. I couldn't get the sound to work, but I watched her with the horses and loved how she handled them. My first book of poetry had just been published, and I read her all of my poems about horses, showing off mostly. Though we were awfully serious, I do remember laughing a lot. This morning, she's riding her bicycle around the front yard in a sundress. The dogs run after her while she rings the bell I mounted on her handlebar. I am bent over a string of dog poop from yesterday. I line it up beside a tape measure, curious about the length. I shout the number out to my wife. She laughs, waves, rings her bell, and the dogs start barking. We've already had breakfast and made love this morning. I'm not sure what's next.